Joey and I have enjoyed a cordial conversation to this point, but this is where we fight. This is where the swords come out. And we go toe to toe here. Okay. First, let me speak to Jessie Buckley. So she comes onto the scene in 2017 with a film called Beast. This was her first lead in a feature film. In fact, it was her first feature film, I believe, other than I believe she did an animated film in 2013. But her first feature film, she gets the lead. It's a small little British film called Beast. I remember going to see this in the theater in Gainesville, Florida at the time. I was the only one in the theater. I remember this like it was yesterday. I watched that movie and I am blown away by this actress that I have never seen before, never heard of her. And I loved it. In fact, I loved it so much, I nominated her for Best Actress at the In-Session Film Awards that year. I thought she was absolutely phenomenal. And then the next year, she does this movie called Wild Rose that not only ended up in my top 10 for the end of the year, I think she should have been nominated for an Oscar that year. And her song, Glasgow, should have also have been nominated and won for original song that year as well. So at the end of 2018, I am full on in love, Joey. Full on in love. I have a brand new crush, and her name is Jessie Buckley. And she goes on to do a couple of smaller movies, some supporting roles. She goes on to do a couple of weird movies that I absolutely adore and love as well. And then she gets this role in Hamnet. And so I have been championing her for the better part of a decade coming into 2025. And I'm also a huge Chloe Zhao fan, so I'm excited to see those two work together. I'm also a huge fan of art as a coping mechanism, which is what a lot of people had talked about with that film when it premiered at the festival. So that had my ears and brain intrigued when it came to Hamnet. And also, given the nature of it, I knew that emotionally I was going to have to prepare myself. And I did. I had chances to go to a critic screening to see this, but I was not emotionally ready. So I skipped on those critic screenings. I really needed some time to get myself ready for it. And ultimately, I did love Hamnet, and I love its reinterpretations. I love that it's not a biopic. Brendan and I joked about this last week. I don't know what the terminology should be, because this is closer to science fiction than it is like historic. Like it's like, what would the term be? Because it's not based on a real story. It's kind of it's like history fiction. It's hi-fi.
What is that thing where people write? They'll take, like, let's say Sailor Moon and write their own stories with it, but they'll make like their own. Like, what is that called?
Yeah, it's like fan fiction. It's kind of like that, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's sort of what Hamnet is.
This is ham fiction.
It's ham fiction, exactly. And that's okay. Like, I love that it's reinterpreting something that already exists. So it's not an adaptation. It's not a biopic. It's a complete reinterpretation of something that already exists. And ultimately it comes down to art as a coping mechanism. And not only that, a coping mechanism for a tragedy that is unspeakable, that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemies to go through something like that. So I'm very much drawn into Hamnet. Where I push back against some of those criticisms, and I think this is what irks me about the reputation of the Oscar clip, because often that is associated with loud act, like capital A acting. I am going extremely over the top. And so people have associated the best acting with the loudest acting. And I am fully antithetical when it comes to my favorite performances of the year. Now, I'm not against a great over the top performance at all. When it is called upon, It's great. Sean Penn in One Battle is a great example. He is fully committed to this brazen character. It is quite caricaturish at times, but works impeccably for that movie. What I love about Jessie Buckley in Hamnet, and again, I feel like this is a bit of that Wagner Mora thing where the nuances get lost because in the conversation online, all you see is the clip of her screaming her head off, which, by the way, just to speak on that real fast, how are you supposed to react when your child dies in your arms? Is that supposed to be subtle? I can't imagine it would be for most parents. I know if it was me, I would not be subtle. So I don't know what people are expecting there in that regard. But here's the other thing, though. That's one moment in a film where she's almost entirely the opposite. That film is mechanically, very sophisticatedly introspective. That performance, it is 98% internalized. The brilliance of that final stage moment, people seemingly forget this. She doesn't hardly say anything in those moments, but conveys a world of like an essay of the emotions that she's experiencing there. But she hardly says a word. And even prior to that, she's very soft-spoken. She doesn't really say all that much. It is 98% an internalized performance. But that's not the clip we play. That's not what goes viral on social media. That's not what gets the engagement. That's not what rage baits. That's not what sportsifies the Hamnet conversation or the Jessie Buckley conversation. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Joey. I'm mostly speaking
I'm agreeing with you.
the overall discourse here. So I think the performance and why I love it is it's exactly what I love about acting. It is capital A acting for a brief moment and a moment that it is called upon given the context of what the character is experiencing. But generally, it's a very, very capital V, very internalized performance. And so the fact that she won for the Academy to award that kind of performance kind of blows my mind. But it's so emotionally overwhelming that it's going to speak to voters in a big way. I understand why they went for that versus other performance of that ilk for sure. Now, with that out of the way, I will say I do not like Song Sung Blue at all. I think that's a terrible film. And I'm about Kate Hudson in the same vein as, a Madigan or some of these. Well, I mostly love the nominees here, but maybe in other years, nominees that I personally wouldn't have gone for. And I think it's less about Kate Hudson and her abilities as much as it's the material that keeps me from fully engaging with the performance. So it's not so much a Hudson thing as much as it's that film just doing her a disservice. And I probably have 5 other performances that I would have nominated over her. So again, that's mostly a film thing, not a Hudson thing.
Yeah, the film is terrible. My God.
Yeah.
I do want to say I think Jessie Buckley should have won the Oscar for the Lost Daughter. She was my choice that year. So
she was great in that film too. Yeah,
yes,
that's another one that she could have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much like Jessie Buckley should have an Oscar, but for that, and God forbid that ever happens. But when you compared yourself to how you would react, I instantly thought of Sean Penn and Mystic River. Is that my daughter in there? That is how JD 100% would feel you would react, and rightfully so.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's another incredible example. I love that. Yeah, I mean, how else are you supposed to react in that situation? That is how you would react.
But here's the crazy thing with going off of my comment for this is the Oscar for most acting. I don't think it is because of those reactions. I think those reactions, I agree with you, are exactly where they need to be. Because I try to watch everything 2 to 3 times. So I'd watched Hamnet 3 nights ago now. So 2 nights before the Oscars as like the rewatch, like final. And for me, it was everything else she was doing. It was like it was almost like watching someone with undiagnosed ADHD in the background, just like lollygagging around. I'm like, girl, what are we doing here? And I love Jessie Buckley. But so when I say the most acting, I'm referring to everything that isn't the reaction stuff. That's where I'm going on that.
Okay, I mean that's totally fair. I mean, I obviously feel very differently. I was
Oh yeah, yeah.
like, I was so ready. I mean, obviously this was not a surprise. This was one of the few
Yeah, this was
locks of
not.
the night. We knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, and I saw a few comments about this. Her acting surprise certainly just demonstrates how good of an actress that she is.
It's like when Meryl Streep
really
won her
funny.
third or whatever. She's like, oh no.
Like, I know, oh my God, I never saw this coming. You've been winning the whole time. Like, you knew this was going to happen. But I mean, as someone that's fallen in love with her over the last decade, I've been waiting for this moment. I was very, very excited to see her win. I do really love the performance. I think it's very, very well earned. And again, I love the quiet variances of it. For me, that's where it works. And I guess to your point, and maybe I'm misreading you here a little. There are certainly times where, especially in the first half of the film, where the character is a bit off kilter, a bit bizarre, which I do think the film gives credence to, as she's this daughter of the forest, and how do you make sense of that? So it's a bit uncanny in that regard, but I think Buckley taps into those qualities really well. Yeah. And again, the evolution of that character and the internalized emotion that she conveys is what really carries it for me. So like, yeah, she easily would have been my vote for this as well. Although I do think Rose Byrne, again, is like in that 1B situation. If Rose Byrne somehow stumped Buckley and won, I wouldn't have batted an eye or lost sleep over it. I would have been disappointed for Buckley, but that would have been a deserved win as well. And again, Renate Reinzev, like, there was no way she was going to win, but if somehow an act of God occurred and she won the Oscar, that would have been incredible. I would have loved that as well. Emma Stone and Begonia is interesting. I understand that her work with Lanthimos has been polarized and people might see diminishing returns there. I don't know. And maybe a lot of it just comes down to how you feel about Lanthimos.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would argue that this was Stone's best work with Lanthimos. And maybe that's why I'm okay with this. Like, Stone wouldn't have been in my 5 as well, but I also think it is her best work with Lanthimos.